And we're back live here on DC 20, your superstation for sports from the Spectrum in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Flyers leading by 1. Welcome back. I'm Jeff Rimmer. And in a few minutes, we will welcome the Director of Player Personnel for the Washington Capitals, Jack Button, to join us as well. We'll take a look at the other National Hockey League Stanley Cup playoff action around the league, and all but one game now underway. So stay with us. We'll have more of our second intermission. The Washington Capitals trailing by 1 here at the Spectrum in Philadelphia.
Does car shopping confuse you? If you've shopped, and I have, you'll find the one place where the confusion ends is your Buick dealer. That's why I just bought a brand new Buick Regal. Regal is actually priced under T-Bird and Cougar. The new Regal just looks like it costs thousands more. So don't get confused. Shop where you like, but start at your Buick dealer. The car is Regal, but the price sure isn't.
If your car needs a tune-up, there are lots of choices open to you. But how many use trained certified technicians? How many do over 1 million tune-ups a year for a low price? And who fully guarantees every tune-up for 12 months or 12,000 miles? Only one is America's #1 tune-up specialist, Precision Tune.
No matter how you drive your engine clean with Mobil Super Unleaded Gasoline. Its high-octane detergent formula can unclog fuel injectors and give your car a new injection of power. For top performance, drive your engine clean with Mobil Super Unleaded, high-octane with a plus.
Imagine stepping into life 200 years ago in colonial Williamsburg. A living, breathing, working town. A town waiting to be discovered, experienced, explored. Another way of life is waiting for you. See it. Live it. For information, call 1-800-HISTORY and come to colonial Williamsburg.
And we're back live here on DC 20, your superstation for sports, here from the Spectrum in Philadelphia, where after 2 periods, the Flyers lead by 1. Welcome back at our second intermission. A pleasure to have the Director of Player Personnel for the Washington Capitals with us, Jack Button, who is along with the team here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And, Jack, your impressions of the hockey game, your thoughts so far?
Well, they're ahead of us by 1 goal. It's certainly a tough game. It's a Patrick Division playoff game. I think it's nothing more than we expected what was going to happen. All we have to do is come out in the third period now. The game is ours to win or lose. We got to score a couple goals, and I'm sure we can do that. And we'll go home, and we won't go home because we have to play here again tomorrow night. But we'll be up 2-1.
Now, looking back on what has transpired here in Philadelphia in the last couple of days, the things that the Flyers have said, you can't be surprised with the way they've played, yet you look back into Washington, particularly in Game 2, and the Capitals did most of their business or most of their talking with a physical game. Do you think there are some cheap shots there that are uncalled for?
Well, I don't know if you call them cheap shots. It's playoff hockey, and you have to overcome all the media hype, all what's said in the newspapers, everything else. We just have to go out on the ice. We have to score goals. We have to keep our composure, score more goals than they do.
What about the Flyers from the perspective of how long they can continue to take the penalties and give the Capitals the opportunity with the power play?
Well, obviously we got to take advantage of it when we have the power play. But we've done a good job killing penalties too. We've had our share of penalties too. So yeah, I hate to say there's been a lot of even up calls, but it seems like it's going back and forth right now. But we have to put all that aside. You just have to maintain your composure, maintain your concentration, go out there, score more goals than they do.
I was going to ask you, how do you think Ron Hogarth's done in calling this hockey game, knowing what he was going to be put up against coming into tonight's third game?
The referee, I don't believe the referee ever makes a difference in the final outcome, who wins, who loses. It's always the players. So, I mean, Hogarth is calling what is a game for Hogarth. I'm sure if he has Ronnie Hogarth, he'd think he's playing calling an excellent game tonight. So the Philadelphia Flyers, I'm sure they think they're playing an excellent game. I hope that the final result shows that the Washington Capitals have played an excellent game.
Jack Button, our guest. Stay tuned for more of our second intermission here on DC 20. The Capitals trail by 1.
In the heart of Manhattan, the Essex House has created Parkside, where all rooms and suites have spectacular views of Central Park. Travelers who demand the very best now request Essex House Parkside, where the service and amenities equal the views of Central Park. A complete business center and professional concierge service await you. Call 800-NICO-US and request Essex House Parkside.
A lot of muffler shops are promising low prices. You can take this to the bank. Nobody beats Midas. She went bargain hunting, and the hunt ended here. She found out about our economizer muffler. It's guaranteed, it's installed by experts, and it costs just $20. $20. Midas has been #1 for over 30 years, and will be #1 for another 30. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Next time on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Can any of you stay alive?
The crew's challenged once again by the dreaded Q.
We have offered you a gift beyond all other gifts.
Tempting Commander Riker with extraordinary power.
Are you strong enough to refuse to use that power?
In a game
Worf!
that becomes a deadly confrontation. On Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Sunday mornings at 9:30 on DC-20, your superstation.
Next time on Cheers.
I want to paint you.
Diane's just dying to model for artist Christopher Lloyd. But you don't have to paint Sammy a picture.
He's going to invite you over to his place, ask you to go all nuded up. Hey, that happens to be my territory, fella.
All it takes is just one pose, Diane.
And we're through. I have spoken.
Looks like the old you-know-what is about to hit the canvas. Next time on Cheers.
Monday at 7 on DC-20, your superstation.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff McGregor, reminding you that there's been a change in plans to begin your late-night rendezvous with the all-new dating game all this week at 11 on DC-20.
And we're back here on DC-20, your superstation for sports. The Washington Capitals trailing by 1 goal after 40 minutes of play. And very quickly, one of the Philadelphia writers today describing this series and its personality as a 9-car pileup. And that was certainly the key in periods numbers 1 and 2. The personality of this series will continue, and it will be a close one. For the Capitals, as we play here this pivotal game, trail by 1, but there's still 20 minutes to go. Busy night of the National Hockey League. On this night 3 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, let's run down the scores for you. Mark Johnson with a pair of the surprising Devils leading the Islanders in the third period by a 3-0 score. The Canadians clinging to a 1-goal lead. They lead this series 2-0. It's Richer, McPhee, Ludwig, and Walter all scoring for Montreal. Gavin, Cote, and Wilson have scored for the Hartford Whalers. Buffalo ahead of Boston by 2, and it's Tucker with a 3-goal hat trick in that one. The Red Wings leading by 4 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have 2 goals from Klima, 2 more from Nil, and as I said, lead by 4. St. Louis trailing Chicago by 3 goals. Thomas Savard has a pair. One other Chicago goal scorer. St. Louis's lone goal coming from Federico. And Edmonton now trailing the Winnipeg Jets by 1 goal. 5 different goal scorers for Winnipeg, 4 for the Edmonton Oilers. And later on tonight on the West Coast, a 10:35 start our time. And the way things are going, we still may be here at the Spectrum. The Calgary Flames, who lead their series 2-0, will be at Los Angeles. You're up to date on the scores. You'll be up to date on third period action here on DC-20, so stay tuned.
I know I haven't said this very often in the last 25 years. Living with me probably seemed twice that long. Well, anyway, back then, we didn't have any money. And now, well, this isn't worth half of what you mean to me.
Saving money isn't a new idea, but it's still a good one.
I was going to wait for our anniversary, but I figured you waited long enough.
Hi, sports fans. I like sports, but I like movies too. And the satellite dish that I got from Davis Antenna gets me over 400 movies each week. So why even fool around with cable? Satellite movie channels really give you a whole lot more to choose from. So if you like movies, then satellite TV is for you. Why not make Davis Antenna your movie connection like I did, and you'll get movies that are out of this world.
Be like Art Monk. Call now. Don't be left out. Call today.
When it comes to autofocus cameras, some give you part of the action, but Canon EOS gives you all of the action. When it's so dark that some can't focus, EOS doesn't miss a trick. And Canon EOS has computers and motors in every lens for fast focus. So great shots are easy and so creative, the competition is out of the picture. EOS, more than autofocus, easier than ever.
Buy any Canon camera, get over $500 in travel savings, and you could win a 1988 Mercury Sable.
Airfare Hotline has the lowest prices on airfares and vacations, and we guarantee it because we're volume buyers, servicing over 100,000 travelers. And our computers are linked to every major airline computer to search out for the most competitive price and itinerary. For example, Washington to Cancun, round trip, 3 nights, 4 days on the beach, only $596, May 1st through July 31st. So do it all with one phone call. 1-800-365-1001. Call Airfare Hotline for the lowest prices in the country, guaranteed. Call now.
How do you keep up with the fast-paced excitement of the World Wrestling Federation? Well, right here each week on the WWF Wrestling Spotlight. Join me, Craig DeGeorge, and Lord Alfred Hayes as we bring you action from all over the country right here on WWF Wrestling Spotlight.
Tonight's Capitals hockey game is brought to you in part by BMW of Fairfax, named the Mid-Atlantic region's #1 dealer for sales and service. By the Masonry Institute. Watch out, Washington, brick and block are back. By K Jewelers, the Diamond People. By Safeway. By Toyota. There's quality, and then there's Toyota quality. Who could ask for anything more? And by Buick. The great American roads lead to your Washington area Buick dealers.
The score is 4-3. The Flyers have the lead over the Washington Capitals after 40 minutes of play here at the Spectrum tonight. Mike Fornes and Al Koken welcoming you back once again to our coverage here on DC 20. Well, we've got 111 minutes in penalties called so far in this game, and I'm almost afraid to ask what kind of third period you look for. I think it's going to be just more of the same.
I would think so, although the Capitals, really both sides, but in particular for the Capitals, they've got to avoid some of the unnecessary penalties that they took in that second period because the Flyers' power play started to respond. They got one power play goal. They also got another goal just as time was expiring on another infraction for the Capitals. So kind of in effect 2 power play tallies. Now Washington, though, very confident they feel if they're within 1, they can come back and at least force some overtime here. And they feel very confident playing this building. They certainly have not backed down, but they've got to stay away from some of the unnecessary penalties and see if the pendulum swings, see if the Flyers are going to try and start running them a little more and things catch up with them. And the other thing, Mike, they've got to get some second chances on Ron Hextall. And the guys to do it, Gartner, Christian Ridley, we have not seen much of them in this hockey game. They're the big guns, and they have been very silent tonight as well as this entire series.
Well, they get back out on the ice. This could change from being a one-goal hockey game. It should put the Capitals right back in it. Right now, it's 4-3. Let's check in downstairs with Jeff Rimmer.
Thanks, Mike. We have our first final of the evening, and the Montreal Canadiens now with a commanding lead by virtue of their 1-goal win over the Hartford Whalers in Hartford. One more win, the Canadiens advance to the second round. Back upstairs now for the third period here on DC 20, Mike Fornes and Al Koken. Okay, thank you, Jeff Rimmer. Ryan Murray will start out a line that really sparked the Capitals the other night in Game 2. Kelly Miller, Michael Pavanka, and Stephen Leach. Those were the guys who got a couple of big goals to bring one, the Capitals back in it, and the other to pad the Capitals' lead up to 5-3. See if they can provide a little more spark here to start this third period. In the first shift for Greg Smith, the Philadelphia Flyer version, who we have not seen out on the ice, but I think one time in that first period.
Here's Scott Stevens to start out. Leads it ahead now for Michael Pavanka, chased by Poulin over to the other sideboards, and that allows Prop to take the puck and throw it into the Washington goal area. Pete Peters plays it out. Here's Gary Galley. Sends it up the boards. Miller. Now to Galley. Gets across the line. Slapped outside the zone and back at center. Here's Miller to take it. He's chased by Prop. Miller tripped up on the play. The puck comes back to the corner for Scott Stevens. Led across the ice now, and Miller starts to center. Over to Steve Leach. Gets caught up in the skates of the referee, Ron Hogarth, and is sent back into the Flyers zone. The third period is 1 minute old. The Flyers lead 4-3. Hatcher goes in on Mellanby. He's bumped to the corner boards by Stevens. Craven works it away, but Gustafson takes over and flips it out of the zone. As it goes all the way back in Flyer ice, it'll be icing as soon as it's touched there by Willie Huber. And the whistle stops play with 18:40 left here in the third period.
The Capitals, of course, down to just 5 defensemen. That is the situation that the Flyers usually are in, even though they'll dress 6. Rarely will all 6 get a regular shift. It's basically Howe, Samuelson, Crossman, and Marsh, along with Huber and tonight Smith, although Huber has gotten a little more time than either Brad Marsh or Greg Smith. So it's kind of, in effect, almost like 5 Capital defensemen, 4 Philadelphia defensemen, and the battle plan to start the series was to try and wear down, with body checking and with pressure, the Philadelphia defense duos. They think that after Samuelson and Howe are off the ice, you can take advantage of what's left, and right now, Huber and Crossman are out there.
Gustafsson to work the draw against Zezel. Caps get the face-off. Grant Ledyard starts out to his own line, now up to center ice. He backhands inside the Philadelphia zone, and the Flyers' Doug Crossman starts out to Sinisalo. Now Dave Christian takes over and pushes it back inside the Flyers zone. Hextall behind the net. He's got an assist in this game already, and has also picked up a 10-minute misconduct penalty, as well as a 2-minute minor for slashing, and also a 2-minute call for cross-checking. He had 12 minutes in penalties in game 1. Here's Kevin Hatcher to the blue line. Stolen puck. Rick Tocchet out to center ice, and it's knocked down now by Christian. Play is called as he forwarded the puck with his gloved hand. There's a break in the action with a score. The Flyers 4 and the Capitals 3.
The stars are gonna twinkle and shine. How they'll shine this evening about 8:45. My loving arms.
They say time is what you make it. At Citizen, we prefer making it beautiful.
Around you, around 8:45.
Citizen. At Kay Jewelers, the diamond people.
Face-off in neutral ice. It's won by the Capitals. Washington's Greg Smith starts out, has it sent right off the feet of Dave Brown into the corner, and Scott Stevens recovers there and clears to the point. Shell Samuelson keeps it in. Poulin bumped by Greg Smith of the Capitals. Into the corner now for Kerr. He sends it right over to Propp. Here's Brian Propp. Rink wide. Kerr goes after it. Slaps it behind the goal. The Flyers controlling the puck pretty well in the Washington zone here on this shift. Poulin jammed up on the play, and Smith runs him over. Now has it knocked free by Ridley. Up the boards to Kerr. He puts it behind the net. Pete Peters comes back to play it. He sends it up the boards. Samuelson tying up just inside the Washington line. It finally comes over for Greg Smith of the Capitals, and he throws it back into the Flyer zone. Here's Mark Howe back to chase it. Up the boards out to center ice, and Ledyard goes back into his own end. Mellenby in to throw a hit on Ledyard, but Ledyard winds up with the puck, thanks to Michael Pavanka. Lead pass for Mike Gartner. Gartner tied up along the sideboards. Ledyard puts it back in the corner for Pavanka. Flyers keeping the pressure on in the Washington zone. Here's Ledyard finally just slapping it all the way down. That'll be icing against the Capitals. Greg Smith of the Flyers back to touch it, and the faceoff returns to the Washington zone. Caps are having lots of problems, Al, on their own end here. The Flyers are just continuing that hitting game and the clutching and grabbing, but it's always resulting in the puck winding up on a Philadelphia stick.
Well, the Flyers certainly have had the edge over the Capitals in the forechecking department, and this is the perfect way to protect the lead. And it lets you protect the lead aggressively, not just dump it in and then spin back out and stand back and wait for the other team to come at you. They're dumping it in and going with their usual 2 men deep, forcing the Capital defensemen to turn the puck over quickly. And with those guys who work the point so well, the Flyers are not letting that puck escape the zone. The Capitals have to be a little more patient. They've got to hold the puck for a second and to see if both men commit, and if not, make that move themselves up. That will open up some room, and then try and find somebody down the middle. It certainly is being closed off at either point along the boards when the Capitals just bang it off around the boards and off the glass.
Zezel to work here against Hunter. 4-3 the score. Philadelphia has held the lead since the 15:26 mark of the second period. when Shell Samuelson's goal put the Flyers ahead.
Now, Dale Hunter had been kicked out of this faceoff. In to take the draw will be Kelly Miller.
He'll work against Tocchet. And Miller beats him from the draw, leads it out to Hunter. Hunter up to center ice. Winds up and slaps it in. Miller to the corner after it. Bumped off the play. Sinisalo starts out for Philadelphia, right wing side. Here's Greg Smith of the Flyers trying to center. It's knocked free. Hunter.
Until at least early Tuesday, and it looks like Tuesday we should squeak in a pretty nice day. Temperatures in the upper 60s, but then finally, the bad news about these slow-moving systems is you end up with a prolonged period of nice weather ahead of them, but once they get over you, like the one did on Thursday and Friday, they last a while. So it looks like the end of the week may be a little wet and cooler.
Okay, well, I'll take it one day at a time, and today was beautiful. A little windy, but beautiful. All right.
Less wind, a little.
Yeah. Oh, good enough.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Nathan Roberts off tonight. Harvey Smilovich back again tonight with sports. Big Saturday.
Yeah, Capitals having a big shootout with the Flyers up in Philadelphia. And at the Capitals home court, the Capitals Center, there was a shootout of another kind. The nation's best high school basketball stars. You'll see them just ahead.
I mean, when you get a call for emergency, you're supposed to be trained.
A lot of qualified persons don't want to have to live in the city because you can't find a decent place to live for the salary that they pay.
Doesn't make me a hell of beans where you live. If I call 911 and my baby is choking, I don't care if you live in Timbuktu. If you work for the department, get there or quit the job. I don't agree with you at all. Boy, am I getting worked up. Bev Smith, One Talk Radio 980 WRC.
Why is NTW so driven to give you the right tire put on the right way? To help you maneuver properly. To deal with sudden stops. And handle the worst the road has to offer. But the most important reason we're so driven has to do with much more than roads, weather, or even tires.
Mommy, getting wet. Hurry up. Come on.
British Airways Concorde, you are clear for takeoff.
Last year, more international passengers chose to fly with British Airways than with any other airline. In fact, last year, British Airways planes traveled over 150 million miles. That's further than from Earth to Mars and back. British Airways, the world's favorite airline.
People love fresh and creamy ice cream, and it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. The real deal is making sure folks get it that way. In our case, that means having our own guys driving our own trucks, so it gets to the stores fresh, like your milk and eggs do. People tell us we're crazy, but that's the way we do it. People also tell us our ice cream is really fresh and creamy.
Most stores carry the basic Bartlett pear. But what if you want an Anjou pear for Pois Belle Helene? Or a Basque to wrap in prosciutto? Or a camise to flambe? Whatever you want to do with a pear, you'll find the pear to do it with at Safeway. We have more kinds than anybody, because variety's not just the spice of life. At Safeway, it's part of our honest deal.
I work an honest day and I want an honest deal.
Sunday, you must make certain that the alien vessel never reaches its home base.
The quest continues.
Phasers, fire, point blank.
Sundays at 6 on Fox Channel 5.
All right, Harvey, a little hard hitting going on in the NHL playoff action tonight.
My time of the season. Oh, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Even if you're not a hockey fan, this is the kind of year or the season where everything is going right for whichever team can make it to the Stanley Cup. And the Capitals, of course, have had a tremendous